Hi guys, and welcome to today's speed build. Today we are building this house that you see right here. It's a real house. I found a house plan for it online and I was like, sure, let's go for it. We're gonna try to make this in The Sims. Let me tell you, it was quite a challenge. The recording for the whole build was 27 hours. And yeah, that's just me being a little bit difficult because I am kind of a perfectionist, so of course I wanted everything to be as close to the floor plan as possible. But I think we all know that in The Sims 4 you can't really get everything perfect because we have these restrictions. And we can only build like full walls and stuff, while on this build, in real life, there were like half walls, like not in height but in length or width, which made it really hard to do some of it, but obviously I just tried to make it as close as possible that you can do in The Sims. And I really think that I nailed it with this one, even if it took me so long and I was so done with building by the time I was done with it. The hardest part was probably the furnishing of the entire build, because it took a while and we don't have a lot of stuff that might fit for these modern type of builds. Yeah, it's just we have a lot of different styles in The Sims, so I think a lot of furniture were repeated in this build and I used it over again because that's what just fit this the best. But I made sure that all the rooms are very different. There were no pictures of the actual rooms. There were only a few pictures of the inside and a few of the outside. And when I first started building, I didn't have the pictures of the inside or the back of the building. I only had this picture that you see on screen here and the floor plan, which I will also put on top of this video when I am building the actual floor plan of the build, so you'll see what I am using as a reference if you want to. But yeah, the biggest challenge was definitely to see how it was drawn in the floor plan and kind of put that to reality in The Sims. I can't even imagine doing it in real life, but because we have all the restrictions and all the different things that you kind of have to stick to in The Sims, that is what really held me back from making it very similar. Like on the side here, there's that plant thing that goes up on the side of the staircase, but if I wanted to do that, it would be on the same level as the floor from the foundation, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be just a little bit higher, but because I couldn't, I had to keep it on the ground. So that was a bummer, but we kind of just had to stick with those kind of things because there's nothing I can do for it really, or do about it. And also this is completely free of any CC, so I did not use that, which I think is what made it a little more challenging as well, because I am actually very used to building with CC in The Sims, and for as long as I've had it, before I started posting videos and sharing my builds, I used it all the time. And I would say it's kind of fun to try and build with just what we have in The Sims, although it is sometimes very frustrating because if there are some things I know I have downloaded as custom content that I can't use, that would be perfect for the build. It's just a little bit difficult because I just want to use it, but I turned it off and I tried my best. So you can also see I put the floor plan on top of where I'm building the floor plan right now, so you can see the reference that I went after. I was looking at this the whole time I was building it, and it was a bit of a struggle. I kept going back looking at it all the time to see that I was doing it right, but obviously I had to do some adjustments to make it like achievable and doable in The Sims. which was actually quite a challenge. Now I'm just going to keep doing the floor plan on all 3 floors. So that's just what I'm doing right now before I start furnishing, which definitely took a lot of time, but I can't believe I actually managed to get 27 hours of footage down to, like, when I sped it up, it was about 2 hours. I managed to cut it down to like 35 minutes, which is why it might be a little bit choppy, because I didn't want to include any unimportant parts. I only wanted to include the most important parts so you could see what I did for where I ended up, which is why you might see that I might skip some parts. Suddenly there's something there and then I remove it and put something else there, and you don't see me actually putting it there, it's suddenly just there. But that's just because I was going a lot back and forth with what I wanted to put in the different rooms, and that's just why I cut a lot of it out, so it wasn't boring to watch, because I know it can't be very fun to watch someone just change things 100 times. I just wanted to record my process of building this and how I came to the end result, and the way that I tried to follow this house plan or floor plan. And I haven't actually done this before, and I thought it would be a fun challenge because the last 2 builds were tiny homes, and I was like, this is the opposite of tiny. It's like super big, it has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and it's like, it was just very different, and that's why I wanted to do it, because I thought it would be a nice with a little like change, changing things up a bit, challenging myself. That was like the biggest thing here. It was such a challenge for me. You have no idea. Like, I just admire people that build these mansions and huge homes on a regular basis, because I can't do it. I get so bored. If I didn't have this floor plan to go off of, I would have probably screwed this building up a lot. And yeah, so I think the reference really helped me, because I would have totally screwed it up if I didn't have anything to look at or any references, or if I didn't already know what I was going to do. And I think that's what really made it difficult for the furnishing, because I didn't have any pictures of what it was going to look like. I only had the floor plans with the descriptions of each room. So as I start here, it only said that there was a bar downstairs, like a wet bar, and like a media room, and so I decided to just have a big like hangout space with a bar and like a big TV and a couch and the little tennis table from university. And yeah, I use basically every pack that I have for this build as well, because I think there's quite diversity or like variety in the styles that I included in this build. I tried to include a little bit of everything, even though I wanted it to be modern, because obviously it's a modern build, so the interior should match the exterior, which was my main goal. But then you can see in, for example, the bedrooms that I can't exactly do that, because most of the beds that we have are like very old, maybe like more like a Victorian style kind of beds, and they're just more for like normal family homes or older homes or whatever, or very like specific in style, like the like I don't actually have the vampire pack, but if you take that as an example, they have very specific styles, which is the case for a lot of these packs in The Sims, and that makes it kind of hard to use with other packs sometimes, which I think was the main struggle for me. And also, while I was building this, in the middle of it, I do change over to my bigger monitor, which is why the UIs and all that and the bottom suddenly it goes a little bit smaller. But that was That's just the only reason for that. And in the middle of building this, I also bought another stuff pack. I think it was the Cool Kitchen stuff pack, because I just couldn't get the kitchen to look right. And I was looking through packs that I didn't have. I was like, is there anything here that I can use? And I saw the Cool Kitchen stuff pack, and I bought it only because of the counters. Like, I think that's the first time I've ever bought something just because of that. But I really needed those counters because I'm so sick of the counters and the islands and the cupboards that we have in game, or that I had in game already. And I was like, I need it now. Because without CC, I was stuck, and it didn't look good. I didn't like it, and I think we just really need more different counters in The Sims that aren't just like a recolor or just adding a little bit on top of an old type of counter that we already had. I am almost done with building the entire downstairs now, and I do also, it's a little bit hard to make these walk-in closets because we don't really have anything that fits with that, so I just had to use what we already had, like a wardrobe and some like clothes hanger thing and all that stuff, which I do repeat again upstairs because there were many walk-in closets in this build. As I said, it's a big house, and they really went all out with the master suite and the walk-in closets in this, which was a little bit frustrating because I can't really do anything about it. That is also the case for the garage, because it's two-car garage. It takes up a lot of space, and it's basically useless in The Sims, but I still put 2 cars in there just to, I guess, just make it look like there's a garage that's used, or like that can be used there. And that's me almost done with the first floor, or the ground floor. And then I'll move up to the first floor pretty soon, after I'm done with this mud room that they said that it was. Next to this mud room, there was also a, I wasn't actually quite sure what that little room next to it was, so I decided to just make it into like a skill building room, where I put a little woodworking table and an easel to because there was basically no other skill building items in this build, and that's basically just because I'm going off of what was already in the floor plan. So it might not be the most like useful house to Sims because there are things that are missing, but I kind of had to just go after the house plan, which is made obviously in real life and wouldn't have all of these hobby things all around it, probably, or maybe not like rooms dedicated to it, so I couldn't really tell where that stuff would go. So that's why I just decided to make this into a room which is not actually on the floor plan, but it fits in here nonetheless. Then I'm moving on to the upstairs. I actually wanted to make this a dark bedroom because I thought it would be a nice contrast to all the light colors in the house or around the house. And I really love the dark bedrooms. I don't know why, it's just something about it. And when you get those earth tones in there, the wood tones, and like all the plants, which you will see me put in there soon, it really just, I don't know, it's just the colors just makes me so happy. I like it not being just black and white or light color, but many colors. That really just did it for me. I also in some of the rooms for the floor plan, they put in some furniture that I used as kind of a guide to where to put my furniture in the build, because obviously that's where they plan to put it in the actual house. But that's only the case for a few of the rooms, so in the others I just had to... Well, actually, I think in almost all the rooms there are... they have put some sort of furniture, like a bed, or in the bathroom, like they put a little toilet and the shower and all that, and the little chairs, and the fireplace is also visible on there. So I really just went off of that, and then I just went with what felt right for the rest of it. Here is the other walk-in closet, and this was before I actually realized that this walk-in closet had a personal washer dryer. So I started putting up this little vanity in there, which I later delete after I realized that's not what was supposed to be in there, because I really wanted it to be as accurate as possible. So just disregard that whole thing, because I'm going to be deleting it in a moment anyway. Also, this bathtub that I put in here, it seems like when I posted this on the gallery, you couldn't actually get in there because I forgot to playtest it before I posted it, and I'm not sure if I fixed it, but I think I might have fixed it now, because the little shelf like the little shelf from Tiny Living was behind it, so we couldn't get in the bathtub. So I had to move the bathtub out a little bit, but I think it worked fine because of the little frame thing that it's in, the little wooden frame. So it worked out anyway. And this, when I started doing this outside, that was after I got the other pictures of the house, because I searched it, because I had to find the pictures again, and then suddenly I found more pictures of it. I was like, wow, okay, this changes the whole thing, because I initially didn't know what to put on the backside, because I had no pictures of the backside, I had no like sketches of it or anything that could help me at all, and then I saw that kind of went up half the way on the back. Can I just say though that the way you smooth out the terrain after you put it up, it's so satisfying to look at. It's just, it just looks so good. That just, I actually didn't know that was a thing until I did this build, and I was so relieved when I saw it. I don't know why I didn't know it was a thing, but I barely used the terrain tool, and when I saw that I was like, oh my god, this is a lifesaver. Because it took me so long to try and build it up properly enough, but then I realized I could just go all out and then smooth it out again without having to worry too much about what it looked like when I first put it there. And now that I'm placing all the windows, it's also after I got the house plan for the back and I started fitting it, but obviously the window sizes are not very accurate because we have a very limited amount of windows, and we don't have any windows that fit properly, and that was a real struggle for me to make it look as accurate as possible to the drawings or to the plans that I saw of the actual build. But I did the best that I could. I also placed these wooden things on the wall instead of... there was supposed to be windows that were kind of sticking out on this wooden thing. But I couldn't put, like there was supposed to be 4 windows on 2 stories, but you can't put 4 separate windows on 2 stories in The Sims, because we don't have that. There is no such thing as a window that goes over multiple stories, or being able to place 2 windows on one wall, so I just had to improvise and make it look as good as possible and also make it look very similar. I didn't have any pictures of what the outside looked like outside the actual house. I only had pictures of the house, and I was like, what am I supposed to do here? Because the rest of the world is flat, and this build was like up on this tiny little hill or little bump. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because it looked odd no matter what I did, but I really just had to put some stuff that maybe made sense. I mean, the fencing and the little plants, just covering up the edge to make it look more natural, although I really don't think it looks very natural when the rest of the world is basically flat. But that's the kind of stuff you just have to deal with. So I did, painfully. Suffering through it. I just keep making adjustments to the build, trying to make it look as accurate as possible, putting down some plants, doing some terrain painting, making it look more natural in the environment that it was in. I didn't just want to focus on the inside, I also wanted to make it look on the outside, because what is a fancy box if it doesn't look good where it's actually placed? Because that is basically what this is. It's just a fancy box. Let's face it, that's basically what I just made. But regardless of that, someone actually made this in real life, so I thought must be a valid way to build a home, I guess. And I think many homes are not as exciting as you might feel. Like when I was starting out on this and I was like, oh my god, this is just a box, and it didn't tell me on the floor plans what the outside will look like. I was like, okay, I'll just make a box and it will look fancy on the front because that's what I had pictures of, but the back would just be like a square a square with a couple of windows. And so I was so happy when I got pictures of the back, even if it was just like a simple drawing of what the windows would look like. I also got pictures of the kitchen which had windows to the outside, so I could see kind of what the outside looked like, and that's when I saw these little poles and the kind of thing outside there that I put on the side of the wall. So I just tried to adapt to what I had and to use my tools the best that I could. And now that I'm getting onto the kitchen, I do actually delete everything in that kitchen later on, because this was the part where I had not purchased the Cool Kitchen stuff pack yet. But that really did save my life in this build. Although it could have probably just gotten away with using the Jungle Adventure counters, but in the end I just think it made a really big difference to have that kind of more modern looking kind of counters that was also in the pictures that I saw. Although I do actually make it black, and in all the pictures the kitchen is white, the table and everything else is white. So I thought, why not just mix it up a little bit, you know? I was looking more at the floor plan, I wasn't looking as much on what was actually in the house, like furniture and all that. So I was more so going after the floor plan, although I made the living room look very similar to the photos that I saw of it. So yeah, that's why I just decided to make it very black, and I really like that contrast between the white and the black. And I think it just made it a lot more interesting, because it might look very good in real life when you just have all white, and the counters might look very good in real life, but in The Sims it tends to get quite a bit boring. So and also they didn't have the right swatches for white, because you could only get the white with the like the brown countertops on it. So I was a bit like wondering, or I was wondering a bit about what to do about that, because it looked so boring and I really wanted it to look as good as it did in the photos, which I think I kind of managed to do in the end. I also wanted it to be very simple, so there's not a lot of clutter, there's not a lot of things around here, it's very simple. I basically just put down the couch with some plants and some decorations all around, and I think I put one picture on the wall there in a moment, and that's like basically it. There's nothing else to it, and that like one decoration on the table and just a few decorations in the kitchen, and I just wanted to look very like new, very sleek, and just very like tidy, and I don't know, just fit the images that I saw of the build, which were very minimalistic. They didn't have a lot in them. It was basically just a couple pieces of furniture. There were no plants or nothing like it, so I just added that myself. And you can see that I turned it all black, which I think looks very good. I go a lot back and forth here, as you can see. I suddenly just went back to the living room for no apparent reason. Putting down a few little details, which I thought were really nice. Now you can see here many times I keep changing my mind about colours and about furniture and objects, and I keep deleting and I keep placing them back and all that stuff, which I guess can be kind of annoying, but I think that's kind of like the process. You need to like put it down and see, does it work? If it doesn't, you just remove it and try something else. And in this case, I think it was really hard for me to get very like, or be pleased about what I saw or what I put down. And in the end, for the kitchen here, I just put down the pantry, which is difficult because we don't really have anything for that either, and that's like what I was talking about those kind of things that we don't have in The Sims, which makes it hard for like the walk-in closets or the pantries and all that stuff. And I am basically just improvising the entire backside of this build because I had no pictures of it whatsoever, except from what I could see from from inside the kitchen out to the backyard, which was a very little amount. So I just decided to wing it and do it as I wanted it, which I think turned out to be quite nice as well. That little wooden detail on the back there is also something that I came up with. That was not a part of the build, and those poles or the all that stuff around the back there was originally white in the pictures, but because I already had the black in the windows, I thought it would be nice to also incorporate that in the in other details of the build. And now we are moving up to the upper floor, where I do the 3 bedrooms and the loft, and the shared bathroom for 2 of the bedrooms. It was actually really hard to stay to the floor plan for this because all the bedrooms are basically just double beds in every room. And I thought that wasn't quite fitting, so in one of the bedrooms I decided to put in 2 single beds on each side, because I thought if you had kids or anything and they want to have 2 separate beds, then they should be allowed to have 2 separate beds, but they can still share a room, because every bedroom just had one like shared bed, and I was like, that might not be the case, at least not here if you have kids or anything like that. So I went a little bit out of what the plan was telling me, which I probably should not have done, but I think for The Sims that's what was best fitting, so that's what I did. And then I'm just gonna keep building up here, placing that double shower there. I thought that was good idea, because in the floor plan that I saw, there was this big shower, but I was like, we only have a 1x1 shower or a 2x1, and so I just used the shower from Discover University, and I just put 2 in there and made a big shower instead. You can see I kind of keep to these themes for each room. Like in this one, I tried to make it like white and black, and you can see I suddenly just some items just appeared, which is what I cut out of the footage that I didn't think was necessary to show here. But yeah, this room is more like a blue and white and green kind of, with the little plants and these hanging lights instead of table lights, and I just thought it was such a cute little like room with the pastel colors, and just because it's supposed to be the guest room, so I guess it needed to be very like neutral to fit anyone that might want to go there, and so that's what I thought of when I built it, because it's very like made for anyone, I guess. And here, this was also supposed to be just one big walk-in closet, but I decided to go a bit off the house plan again, and I decided to put a little office in there, because there was really not an office in this build, and I thought the 2x1, or not 2x1, yeah, 2x1 little walk-in closet that we do have in The Sims already fit very well in the bedroom, and I just decided to make a little office there instead to fit The Sims need more, basically. And then I had this little area in the loft where there wasn't really any specific details on the floor plan, so I just built a little like living area with a couch and a TV. And then there is this laundry room, which I also wanted to make look maybe a little bit more cluttered and like used, because it looked a little bit empty without anything else in it, so I just added a few little pieces there. And then I go back to the little living area. I try to add some little decorations here, and went back to that tiny living TV, because I thought that would be nice to have kind of a 3-in-1 there, because there wasn't a lot of space, and I still wanted them to have a lot of opportunities or ways to be entertained up there. And then they have the stereo, they have the books, and they have the TV, so they can do a lot of stuff up there. And then just adding a few little extra pieces to fill the space. As we now go into the 2 last bedrooms, you can see I also stick to a very specific style in this one. I thought maybe an elder sim was living here, or more old-fashioned kind of sim. That's why I had this bed and this style for the bedside tables, and I just thought it looked very cute with this little makeup mirror thingy there. I thought that was quite fitting for maybe a woman that wanted to live there, and because there are so many rooms, I can imagine like a whole family living here, you know, so if grandma wants to live here, she can, because there's a room that is made just for her. And then we go over to the last room, which is the kids' room with the 2 separate beds and the little dresser in the middle, and then I decided to have a desk on the other side and give them a laptop so that they could work in their room or just have fun together in there and actually have something to do. And a little bookcase as well, although I'm not sure if they can get to it. Actually, I didn't test this, but they might be able to. And that is basically the last thing that I do here in this build before I move on to the outside again, I think, and finish off a few last things. Some last few details. Here I also go over a lot of different wallpapers. That's why I keep changing them so much until I decided to go for that pink one, which I thought was really cute. And at the end I'm just doing some more landscaping, making it look more like it was a fit to where I placed it. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was in Newcastle somewhere, on a 30 by 40 lot. Also, this, if I didn't tell you already, this will be on the gallery, or it actually is on the gallery already, and it seems that a lot of people have already seen it and downloaded it, which is very fun. So if you also want to get this, then you can just go on my gallery under my gallery ID, which is Simmer Celia YT, and then we will just go into the screenshots, where you will be able to see basically what I did with these pictures on the side. You can see what I had to look at as references when I built it, and how I kind of managed to do that in The Sims, which is why I also put in the pictures of the floor plans over the pictures of my floor plans, so you can compare them and see the two side by side. So maybe it'll be a little bit clearer to see how it is accurate to what I was actually looking at, and which might not have been very clear in the beginning because I only showed the pictures for a short time. But yeah, that is basically it for this build, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a long one. If you stayed till the end, then I appreciate you very much. And I really hope you liked this, because it was a long build and it took me a long time to edit as well, let me tell you. It was so difficult. But I thought it would be a nice change to the tiny houses that I've posted. So yeah, if you, as I said, if you want to download it, it's on the gallery. You can find me there. I will be posting more videos soon. That's it for me. I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh, everyone who didn't believe it, they don't know worth it. I'm gonna try, gonna try, gonna try. Work till I die, till I die, till I die. I'm gonna fail and get up, 'cause I'm not giving up on my dream. I'm gonna cry, gonna cry. Chasing the highs, yeah, the highs, yeah, the highs. I'm gonna fail and get up, 'cause I'm not giving up on my dream. I'm not into drinking, that's just